8, 7, power, 6, 5, power, 4, power, 3, 2, one more. Good. Roll under here. Roll under the base. Good job.
That lawnmower, that's that. Start that.
I made the decision to train in DC because, I haven't been there.
Prime TV has just released fresh footage showing Gervonta Davis back at his training camp, right after the announcement of his rematch with Lamont Roach. Davis didn't waste any time. He headed straight to the gym. And yes, his EV Hitsiki, longtime head coach Calvin Ford is right there with him, fully focused and ready to go. Bringing Calvin Ford back was a clear decision. It was obvious to everyone how different Gervonta Davis looked in the only fight where Ford wasn't by his side or in charge of his training. To avoid that kind of setback again, Ford is right back where he should be, leading the team.
I made the decision to train in DC because, I haven't been in the coldness in a minute. I haven't even trained in the coldness in a minute, so I feel as though this will help me. I'm from Baltimore. He's not from DC. That's what I learned. I thought he was from DC too. DC my second home. I've been coming up here since I was 9 years old, even younger. So I'm not really trying to get in his personal business.
The footage starts with Gervonta Davis training intensely, putting in work to rebuild his power. Tank has never been a fan of heavy weightlifting or trying to bulk up. He thinks it makes fighters slower. He's even made fun of a former opponent for depending more on muscles than actual skill.
We did how many rounds? We probably did at least like 8 straight.
Yeah, but you in the bad for about 8 too.
Yeah.
That's good. You're not in bad shape.
Yeah. Just got put up my
Of
round.
But after noticing how little damage his punches did to Lamont Roach, he's now added weight training to boost his strength. The footage also gave a peek into his daily routine, starting with an early jog, then a cool down, breakfast, and straight into intense training. His workouts include sparring, shadow boxing, mitt work, and drills focused on speed, accuracy, and head movement. It's clear Gervonta Davis means business this time. That first fight ended a 30-fight unbeaten streak. And he's not letting that happen again.
Get the fuck out!
Davis is fully focused on training for his rematch and looks more determined than before. It's easy to understand why. His fight with Lamont Roach was one of the toughest battles of 2025. Roach showed he could challenge Davis both physically and mentally. Recently, Davis shared something personal. His biggest fear isn't losing. It's being embarrassed and laughed at by fans. The way people reacted after he took a knee against Roach on March 1st stayed with him. And it's clear he's stepping into this fight ready to prove himself.
Catch the rip, Dave. What? Catch the rip, Dave. Damn with this shit. Right.
House, what goes up, come down, man.
To avoid making the same mistake again, Davis has reunited with Calvin Ford to lead his training. Ford has been by his side since he was young, teaching him the skills and strategy of boxing until he reached world champion status. Now, Ford is there, pushing him harder than ever before.
Yesterday, maybe 2 or 3 times. Tank being the winner, they sparred a few times. Tank got the best of the spar. They just bigger and stronger now, older.
Now, it's some word out there that Lamont...
In an interview with Fight Hype, Calvin Ford looked back on their past fights and showed respect for Lamont Roach. The Baltimore coach said Roach gave a strong performance and has now put the pressure on Tank to respond. Ford explained they've known each other since their amateur days, going back to the Silver Gloves. They basically grew up together. People have been wondering why Roach is such a tough opponent, and Ford thinks it's because Roach accepted the fight, and it means a lot to the community. Their ongoing rivalry makes this matchup really exciting. Ford called it a great fight because Roach always comes ready to fight hard.
Older.
Now, it's some word out there that Lamont say, you know, he got some film that don't make Tank look too good. What could that? How could that affect, you know, the outcome on December 14th?
Shit, man. Tank last 4 or 5 opponents all have film like about how they beat him up in sparring. If that's the case, that shit happen. But fight night.
Ford says this fight will be thrilling because Roach never hesitates to trade punches and always shows up ready to battle, even with his reputation as a skilled boxer. At first, fans had mixed feelings since this is the 3rd time the World Boxing Association champion has chosen to defend his title against a fighter from a lower division. Ford noted that fans often complain about fighters picking certain opponents, especially when it happens over and over, just like Tank Davis has done in his career. He said, "That's just what fans do." Ford recalled when people kept saying Pitbull should fight Tank again. They talked about that. And then, when Pitbull won the World Boxing Association light welterweight title, it was a big deal. Ford said he doesn't get involved in that talk. He just focuses on preparing his fighter to put on a great show for the fans. "We just focus on the fight in front of us, and that's the fight in front of us," Ford said about Roach being the next opponent for Gervonta in August. It's still unclear if Roach will use what he learned from their past fights to try and hand Gervonta Davis his first defeat.
That's a good fight. That's a real good fight. I would love to see that. That'd be a scrappy fight.
Hey, give me how you compare the styles.
I got Shushu boxing a little bit more than Roach. But Roach can box, but to me he's more of a
How what your balance felt like?
Fans wondered why he's training so hard when this fight doesn't seem as tough as some others. His bouts with Ryan Garcia and Isaac Cruz were definitely harder. But this time, he's pushing himself like never before. Maybe it's because he announced last month that this is his final year in boxing. He probably wants to finish strong and leave while the fans are still cheering. The video showed Tank doing body workouts, stretches, and push-ups. The lightweight champion has missed weight a few times before. To avoid the last fight's problem, where he had to rush his way in while running on the street, he's making sure to manage his weight better this time.
boxing a little bit more than Roach. But Roach can box, but to me he's more of an inside fighter. He fight better on the inside.
And
Roach.
Lamont Roach. Yeah, Lamont
Yeah.
Roach is gritty, man. Lamont Roach is gritty. What do you think?
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm right about this or not. Best dude at 130 is O'Shaquie Foster.
I don't know about that. I like Foster. He's tough though, but
After his body workouts, the world champion moved on to mitt work and punching the bag to check his power. Then he did a short sparring session with an unnamed partner before taking a quick break. He picked up the camera and said, "Taking it all out on March 1st. According to Boxing News 24, Gervonta Davis is already working hard on his fitness and is close to the ideal weight for his title defense. Promoter Leonard Ellerbay also shared in an interview with Plaz that he knows Davis is beginning the path toward retirement. I understand what's going on. Having kids changes everything, Leonard Elerbe said about Gervonta's decision to retire. He sees things differently than he did 6 or 7 years ago. If he says he's retiring, then that's it. He added, "Life is more than just your job. You respect the fans who pay to watch you fight, but you also have a life outside of boxing. Fans want you to keep going, but often don't think about your health afterward." Elerbe described boxing as a tough sport where many fighters in the past were taken advantage of and ended up with serious health problems.
O'Shaquie and Lamont Roach.
A guy rocking with Roach.
Over O'Shaquie?
Yes. Roach can crack, man.
Wow.
I'm rocking with Roach.
I think this is the first time we part, bro, on this one.
Huh?
I think this is the first one we part on this one.
Yeah.
I think I gotta
that.
take O'Shaquie, man. O'Shaquie, only thing with O'Shaquie is O'Shaquie got a little bit of
They faced many health issues and long-term effects, Elerbe said. He understands the EEE mindset of entering the sport, making your mark, and then walking away. Everyone has different opinions and goals in life, he added. It's now official that their WBA lightweight title rematch will be the main event on August 16th. The lightweight Davis-Roach fight sparked some debate. The final scores, 115-113 for Davis, and 2 114-114 draws, mostly reflected what happened in the ring. Some thought Roach should have won, but most agreed it wasn't a robbery. Roach really lost his chance during a key moment in the 9th round that could have shifted the fight's momentum, but it was affected by questionable refereeing.
Do you want that rematch next? And if so, how likely it is that we're to see that fight happen again this year?
I'm not sure, bro. I'm definitely not sure, but hopefully we could get it before. Nah, it probably won't be this year.
Is that the one you want next?
It's definitely the one I want next.
Roach, who's from the Washington, D.C. area, landed a jab halfway through the 9th round. Baltimore's Davis looked at referee Steve Willis, then stepped back and took a knee. The referee didn't count it as a knockdown. Instead, Davis was given a break, so his co-trainer Calvin Ford could wipe away what Davis said were hair chemicals that got into his eye and briefly affected him.
How do you assess his power after being in there for 12?
He got decent power. For sure. I ain't gonna say it's exaggerated. I told you I got a chin. I ain't going like that. It's just not gonna happen. But like I said, I see why he knocked people out, and I think he felt my power too. I think that's what negated a lot of.
Both fighters were prepared for a rematch. Even though Roach's team officially protested the in-ring situation, the New York State Athletic Commission reviewed it, acknowledged the missed knockdown, but chose to uphold the original result. Throughout his career, Davis has been trained by Ford, but for the last camp and fight night, experienced cornerman Barry Hunter took over. Bravers?
You've mentioned others, DAZN, Netflix is getting into. What do you think Top Rank lands after ESPN?
Well, all I know is we're going to land.
Right after the Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach fight, rumors started about a possible matchup between Jake Paul and Tank Davis, if Tank could beat Roach on March 1st. But since that fight ended in a draw, those plans fell through. Just a day ago, Fight Hub TV spoke with Timothy Bradley Jr. in Las Vegas during the Michaela Mayer versus Sandy Ryan weigh-in. When asked about Tank's recent draw, Bradley was honest. He said the 28-kneel boxer with 28 knockouts knows his strengths, but after seeing how tough Lamont Roach Jr. was, mentally and physically in their March 1st fight, Tank still has some work to do.
It's gonna be interesting to see, man.
Do we see the same when Gervonta rematches Lamont Roach?
Could be, yeah, because the styles make fights, man, and obviously Lamont Roach, man. Look, anybody that can take a shot and that's tough, bro, and that can take it to Tank, they can beat him.
For some reason, he thinks Lamont Roach has figured out Gervonta Davis. Styles make fights, he said. Lamont Roach and anyone who can take a punch is tough. If they can keep up with Tank, they can beat him. He described Roach as mentally strong and able to stick to his plan, pushing forward when it counted. Roach controlled much of the fight's pressure and hit hard enough to earn Tank's respect. He landed solid punches and fought back mentally as well. He handled himself well and did a great job.
To march forward in spots, he was able to control a lot of the action, and he put the pressure in. He hits hard enough to get Tank's respect. He landed on Tank, he didn't hurt Tank, and he was there. You know what I mean? He was there battling him mentally, talking shit to him.
Talking about the rematch, Bradley said a win for Davis would help him win back the fans after the earlier controversy. Look, Tank knows what he brings to the ring. He knows his opponent is tough and that his style is hard to beat. I'm sure he'll go back to the drawing board to find ways to get better. They'll both give their best. Bradley also mentioned that Roach knocked Tank down in the 9th round, which should push him to come back stronger. You got a draw, had a big fight with Jake Paul planned, and now you have to wait for this rematch. If that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will, he said, clearly frustrated. He added that the WBA lightweight champion's reputation is starting to take a hit.
Exactly what he's supposed to do. He did a great job. Him and his team had him ready. The second time around, look, Tank knows what he brings. Tank knows he's a tough opposition. Tank knows that his style is tough as well. I'm sure Tank's gonna go back to the drawing board and see where they can improve in or improve on. And
Bradley also pointed out that many fans who once backed Tank are now turning away. That's just how boxing works, he said. To stop this, Tank needs to prove himself, not only to others, but to himself, too. Bradley's message is simple. If Tank handles the rematch well and shows what he should have in the first fight, all the negative talk will fade. Fans may be quick to judge, but they're just as quick to forgive when a fighter performs in the ring.
That you had a big fight lined up with Jake Paul after this, and now you gotta wait, and now you gotta do this rematch, bro. If this don't motivate you, I don't know what will. You know what I'm saying? Because his name right now is getting drugged through the mud. And all those fans that was on his side, bro, a lot of them are switching teams now. So look, he got a lot to prove, not only to himself, but a lot to prove to his fans and his fan base out there. So he go back in there, had his rematch, and he do what he's supposed to do,
After that, bigger fights are back on the table. Maybe even a match against Jake Paul. Bradley thinks Paul is the next target for Tank, but first, Tank needs to sort out this situation. In case you missed it, here's a reminder. The Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis fight was real and almost happened a few weeks ago. Boxing insider Dan Rafael shared on X, sources say a Gervonta Davis vs. Jake Paul exhibition was planned until the Lamont Roach draw. Tank chose a rematch instead, with a June follow-up planned. That's right. If the 30-year-old had beaten Lamont Roach Jr., we'd probably be talking about a Tank versus Jake Paul fight now. But since it ended in a draw, those plans fell through.
Obviously, from what I see and the way he's moving, I don't think those fights are going to happen.
My last one for you, Tim. You're a guy who's a straight shooter. So with Dana White and TKO coming in, what's your honest opinion?
The 54-year-old later confirmed in an interview with Boxing News that the talks were very real. They were definitely talking. It was 100% happening. If Tank Davis had won against Lamont Roach, a fight between Jake Paul and Tank Davis was very likely, he said. Several sources told Fight Freaks Unite that discussions for the Jake Paul fight were already happening behind the scenes. Now, it's a matter of whether they'll make it happen after Tank finishes his rematch with Lamont Roach, expected around June or July. What do you think about Gervonta Tank Davis getting back to training so early, before the rematch with Lamont Roach? Who do you think will win when they meet in August? Do you believe Lamont Roach has something special to challenge Tank's intense preparation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. That's all for now. For the latest news, events, and action in boxing, stay connected by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss quality content like this.